Hey everybody, this is Coffee with I can't reach my coffee right now, but hey, this is the thing that I do before the actual stream where I just kind of banter, maybe touch on a couple of topics or so. But first, as always, I want to say hi to the people that bother kind of waking up with me or wherever you are on the planet. Maybe you're cheating and it's like, afternoon, evening, or whatever it is. What's up to Jalzon? Twice, actually. You did chat before the stream started, you maniac, you. Hearty good morning to you. What's up to Mora Doobie? What's up to Red Antisocial and to Galifaxes and Dustin? Thank you for sending me that sub while we were kind of warming things up. What's up to Menard? What is up to Lunatics? Hey, first time chat. Good to see you. And what is up to all the other beautiful digital smiling faces who may be joining us at some point today? So there are some topics that I managed to pull out my butt before we got started today, and so maybe we'll tackle some of those things. But first, let's just kind of relax for a bit, take a deep breath. For those who are watching us live or those who are watching on the VOD, just a reminder: we're doing stuff every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We start at around 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, so you can join us there, or you can say hi over in the YouTube commentos and all that. No, that counted. You get a point, Jalzon. So I think you're at like 50 points. I don't know what they mean. The points don't mean like much of anything. But anyway, let's get right to how are you guys doing? How was your guys' weekend? I happened to totally skip out on the Diablo 2, the whole beta weekend. I think it either ends today or it already ended. That's how badly I missed it. Part of my non-interest was because, there was no necromancer that was playable. There were only a number of classes that were available, including druids, which are fun because you can make like a cool little zoomancer sort of build, and I'm fond of pet builds in those kinds of games. But I like Necromancer a lot more, and I just felt like, I got a busy weekend, I got stuff going on, things to prepare for, so I couldn't really dive into that. Mora Doobie is asking about a quest for the Bob print merch T-shirt. So I during the weekly, I wore a shirt that had Bob sitting on the toilet, looking at an iPad, asking, how did he know? It was a long-running joke that I haven't really utilized in a while, because I like to refer to people who are watching at home or on the toilet. That was a shirt that I made with alongside some company, and then that same company happened to boot me through. It was for I think it was for trademark reasons, because I wanted to make shirts with all the different WoW class icons on them. So I had someone else draw their own, kind of like their own renditions of it. They were, but they weren't just ripped from game files or anything like that. Then I threw it on a shirt, and then I think my problem was that I called it Hunter class WoW t-shirt or something like that. And I think that's what kind of messed it up. So at some point, I want to try that again, along with putting out some of the old products, the Bob mug, which thankfully has survived for a number of years now. Same dude on the toilet, just without the talkiness. So I'm drinking Bob's doo-doo water. Yum. But I don't really have a status on that. I haven't tried doing it in months now. I just kind of let it fall off, and so be it. Menard made a banana chocolate cake, which sounds awesome. Very awesome. Again, Dustin, thanks again for coming around to say hi, to say what up. And we'll get to some other stuff in just a little bit. You have to get Galifax had to get an ultrasound on your liver. This is the kind of the stuff that people don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing. That sounds crazy, though. I hope everything is okay. I would talk about my own liver thing and how that relates to certain conditions and all that stuff, but not a big deal. You're still waiting to buy the shirt with my design on it. with it. I do have a prototype shirt. I don't have it here, but I did make a prototype shirt. It was a white shirt that has a blood elf dude with sunglasses looking at himself in the mirror. He's like, oh man, I look so good, right? And you can clearly tell that he's like butt naked, but you can't really tell, right? But you could tell. And it was just like a funny little thing that Monarg over here drew. And I was like, dude, that looks dope. I want to put it on a shirt. So I made a prototype. But then shortly after is when I got kicked out of that store. I'm like, oh, I wonder if it was that. Maybe it was that got me kicked out. So, oh, he's wearing one shoulder transmog. Okay, that's great. So anyway, let's get to let me get to a topic. And of course, I'll say hi to chat and I'll interact with you guys in a bit. I believe, late yesterday, there was like kind of a clarification on an incoming hotfix that should be live as soon as servers are up. I don't know if they're up yet. I heard that they're going to be up at 9 o'clock this morning. But they were going to make it so that whenever you use a conduit, it's going to, those little conduit upgrade things that you get either in Korthia, or you buy it from that vendor, or you get it from the Adamant Vaults, which has another little fix to it or clarification that I'll talk about. When you use those items, it'll now upgrade a conduit that is related to your specialization, or one of those, or the non-specialization things. But it'll focus on those first. There were some clarifications that if you happen to use those upgrade thingamajiggers, but you're basically full, but you can't, you basically can't upgrade the conduits for that spec or the generic ones, then it just won't work. Which I think is cool. I prefer to get like a, error message or whatnot. It would be cleaner if it started with, okay, it'll do your primary spec, and then if you happen to still be at that primary spec, you use the item, and it'll choose a random thing from another spec. But I don't think that's okay. I think I'm happier with it erroring out, and then it would, and then basically you just need to switch to your other spec and then start using those items again, which is a little janky, right? I admit it is a little janky, that sort of feeling, but it's better than the original implementation. I remember seeing a couple of comments from folks that were being like, oh, well, I spent like 30,000 of my things to like buy the upgrades and I used them all. I demand compensation. Sucks to be an early adopter. That's the early adopter tax. You buy a newfangled phone and it has bugs on it, and then people with the second gen phones are like, ha ha, and the first gen ones are like, meh, meh, meh. That's not even a great equivalent. That's what happens when you're live. You have weird takes. So they aren't up. You just check. Thank you. Thank you very much. Is the hotfix in fixing the hidden issue with transmog, whereas if you have something marked hidden and you change transmog, the hidden things take on the look of your previous outfit. I'm not familiar with that, actually. I'm not familiar with that. They also clarified that how those conduit upgrades work in the Adamant Vault. So, after looking at what Blizzard had said, as well as a couple of other forum posts, it appears, and this isn't something I can verify, that I haven't verified on my own, it appears that those conduit upgrades can drop from the Adamant Vaults of Cell Block A and Cell Block B. So you have a chance to get two. The chance goes up depending on how high of a layer of Torghast you run, and then if you get a flawless, you get into the Adamant Vault, and then ta-da, it's fun time. So it appears you can get two, which is nice. But I also want to clarify that if you are at rank 6 with your Archivist Codex, if you're exalted, pretty much, then you can buy them for about 3k a pop, and then ta-da, there we go. And there is obviously there's a maximum limit to it. Like once you upgrade all the conduits that you care for, then you're done. Freedom. So that's kind of nice. How far are we in Heroic? We're still 3 of 10. We were trying out Ner'zhul and Soul, whatever, the Garrosh one, and we want to progress on the Ner'zhul one this week. So we'll try to push that one, and we should get it down. We'll try out some weird stuff. How am I? I'm good. Thank you, Goat Yachty. Oh, that sounds like a that sounds like a rap name. What's up, Goat Yachty? Yeah, something like that. Okay. Ner'zhul is fun on her. Yeah, thank you. Maintenance extended 2 hours. Nice. Then I guess we'll just be talking, won't we? This will be a long old coffee with me. Unless you're trolling me. That's what it takes. That's what it takes to... I forgot what I was going to say. That's what I get for being like... play Final Fantasy XIV. You know, it's funny. I was thinking about, like... I was kind of mentally skipping ahead. Like, when I get to the end of this project, you know, what's going to be my thing? And you notice that, you know, I've been playing it, but I've been mostly playing it off stream. I haven't been doing the MSQ because I think I'm just trying to tell myself, stop forcing yourself to try to to try to be into the story. It's a well-made story and everything. Characters are great. You know, I feel awkward about the story trying to over-explain everything, because you catch that sometimes, right? Whenever you're watching a story or you know, whenever you're watching a movie, reading a story, whatever, you kind of have a thought in the back of your head. So, why didn't they? So, you know, what about blah, blah, blah? And you're trying to feel smart about it. But then the game will, you know, 14 will immediately kind of get into that and address that, which is great. But it also meant that, boy, you know, this cutscene is like 4 times longer than it should be, because they're just trying to cover all the bases and all that. But it's still fine. I just couldn't get attached to it. I couldn't get attached to it back in, God, when 2018, 2017, when I first tried to get into it. And I'm like, yeah, not feeling it. 2018, tried again. Nope, not feeling about it. 2019, I was like, okay, maybe I'll make a new character. It's been a while. Let's try this again. And I kept hearing so many times from people, dude, ARR sucks, man. The story is like so much better in Heaven's Ward. I'm like, F it. All right, fine. You know, let's do it. Let's just go all in. Let's skip this garbage. You know, and I was thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, it's gonna be like night and day. It's gonna be like so different. So that's when I got that skip, and then I was like, oh shit, this was a job skip. Fuck. And then I'm like, okay, story skip. Thank you, website. And then I got the story skip. And then, like, maybe like an hour or two into it, I was thinking to myself, this feels the same. I'm still running around like a dumbass, you know, going here, teleport here, talk to this person, immediately teleport there, talk to another person, immediately teleport again and talk to this other person. And I was like, you know, screw it. I'm going to stop. Forget it. And so I was like kind of like haphazardly playing a little bit and doing whatever, and getting mad. And then Project 14. So that was kind of that's the short story behind my whole Final Fantasy. And that took me like a year. I was subbed on and off for like a year and some change. Dabbling here, doing some side quests, trying to queue up for a trial. No one would join. I'm like, screw this, dude. That's what my whole beef about the MSQ came from, where I'm like, oh man, I have to be in a group for this. I can't find a damn group. You know, so it was, oh well. That was like a big tangent there. Current maintenance has been extended to 11 o'clock. Okay, cool. I'll just do whatever. But I haven't been, you know, streaming much 14. And what is this? I haven't been streaming much 14. I've been doing mostly crafting. That is one thing that you don't stream. You don't stream the crafting side of things, because it's just me in some spot, and I'm breaking immersion too. Like I don't have the full helmet on because I can't mog a full helmet as a crafting class apparently. So I'm just like sitting there like tinkering at stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm missing something. Okay, cool. Let me pull up the gathering log. Excuse me. Oh, where's that thing? Click the thing. There it is on the map. Oh, where's the closest teleporter? Boop, hit the teleporter, get to that place. Run or fly to that spot. Find those 4 nodes. Farm those 4 nodes for about like 5 or 6 minutes until I get like a decent amount of them, and then I teleport back to my little hole in the ground and get back. Yeah, that's it. And I find that super mind-numbing. Like I'm watching Max and his stream. When him trying to take on savage raids and stuff like that, I'll do that while I'm crafting. That is my entertainment. But otherwise, yeah, I feel like I need to just stop pretending that I'm getting into the story and just get through it and at least experience it. I think that's been kind of like my thing there. I just got to settle with the let reality set in, just embrace the fact that, you know what, it didn't really pull me in. I'm interested in crafting. I'm going to keep pushing the crafting. I am going to finish the MSQ because I want to try out Endwalker and, get that new FF14 expansion experience and see what that is and see what that's like. But at least my current mindset is, okay, Endwalker comes out. I'm gonna push story, get my jollies in, try out the crafting and see how it's like. Not doing catch up crafting. I'm gonna do current crafting and see how that feels. Share my thoughts on that, that sort of thing. And like that's it. That's what I'm kind of like settling in. That's my whole journey as a gamer in 14. I just couldn't drink the Kool-Aid, but I'm finding my enjoyment, not letting myself succumb to like outside pressure. You got to do it like this, otherwise you're doing it wrong. That turns me off. So please don't do that. Please don't tell me how I should be enjoying my. Don't tell me how to take my journey. Goat Yowdy says, that's a very good point. I feel like so many people are forcing themselves to act like this is the best game they've ever played. It's a great game. That doesn't mean I don't see its flaws or love it or love it like I love WoW. I like 14 as well. I both played that and World of Warcraft. I did enjoy Heaven's Ward much more than ARR, but I really understand what you mean about those cutscenes. A bunch of guildies are playing 14. I have really no interest in it. Maybe it's great, maybe it's not, but that's okay. A good handful of my guildmates, they left, they quit, so they can play 14, and then they're just kind of like doing their own thing. It's like 4 or 5 of them, and then some other folks, they've gone on break, and they're like, oh, I'll be back when I'm just going to try this out, and that's cool. More telling the forums how much I want housing. Nice. Speaking of housing, not really, but speaking of housing, night elves and their tree that burned down. There's a lot of grr over this whole epilogue of patch 9.1, all the talking heads and things like that. And there was something that I missed. There was this interaction between Tyrande and Chandris, her daughter, so to speak. And they talked about, I think I should just pull this up. I'm going to talk some bits of spoiler kinds of things, but not really, because it's already done and passed. There's already an article about it and everything. But yeah, the two of them interact and they talk about like what had just happened and in relation to what had happened before, the burden of Teldrassil. So I'm just gonna read the dialogue. So Chandris says to Tyrande, "It's good to see you again, Mindo." That's like mommy. I feared you might be forever lost. Tyrande says, "Ever since the Darkshore, rage has swelled inside me, a tide under which I seemed destined to drown. It was not until I heard Elun's voice that I recognized the grief buried beneath my anger, sorrow intertwined with a deep sense of betrayal." Chandra says, "When Teldrassil burned, I could not understand why the goddess didn't intervene, why she would allow so many to be lost. But I did not know of Ardenweald. of the duty and purpose that awaited the souls of our people, at least, before the maw. Tyrande says, perhaps we can never truly know the ways of the gods, my daughter, but I believe Elune made a choice to aid her sister, not to cause us sorrow. Chandra says the Winter Queen faces hard choices as well. She and the Mother Moon are bound together in an eternal cycle, one of death and rebirth. Tyrande says, finishes saying, a cycle the Kaldoroi must now rejoin. No more looking to the past. It is time to embrace our future. So a lot of people are mad over this because these are two ladies who firsthand saw the tragedy of Teldrassil, but were also firsthand saw Elune and saw and felt her, heard and felt her words, all that stuff. And this is their ultimate reaction. And people are pissed because they're like, what, really? That's it? It goes out like this, kind of like a deflated balloon, that sort of thing. Like, what about, vengeance against Sylvanas and the Horde and all that stuff? It makes them feel sort of weak. I haven't read all the reactions from people. That was just kind of, I saw a couple. I'm like, okay, like that's, this is me, oh, okay, this is how some people are feeling. Okay, please chime in with some of your reactions when you first learned this sort of stuff. My personal reaction, though, is, boy, these people are so religious. like as soon as their goddess makes some sort of act or does something, the mental gymnastics begin, where their faith in Elune is so strong that they'll justify the deaths of thousands at the hands of someone else and be like, you know what, I guess this was just what it is. Now, I guess what's being said here, the last line, no more looking to the past, it's time to embrace the future. It's hard to understand what that meaning refers to. Like, are we talking about the tree burning down? Are we talking about, their connection to Elune? Is there going to be this slow sort of realization that, hey, you know what? Elune's our goddess, but she's not really looking out for us. She's kind of looking out for herself, or she's looking out for she may be looking out for something greater than all of us night elves, at least. But yeah, my take on that isn't so much that their characterization or that their characters have become weaker because of this. If anything, it just kind of reaffirms to me their devotion to the goddess. That is core to their characters. You rip that out and they're nothing. They'll I don't know. It's hard to feel that. I think that the Ghanaians should pay it forward, now that Gilneans is clean of the plague, to have the Night Elves move in. There's another conversation between Tyrande and the priestess that sang the elves to sleep before they died. It's worth a read. It's just outside the door of the travel network. Tyrande's devotion has always been a core of her character. And that's a good point. I remember reading War of the Ancients, that whole trilogy, when Tyrande was just a cute little priestess person. She was a Lobi priestess. And even then, most of what she would channel would be prayers to Elune, Elune answering the call and smiting things and burning stuff and star falling and all that crazy jazz. This is a hard thing to swallow, because you really gotta be in their shoes. They just saw their goddess. They saw the closest. It seems as if it's the closest manifestation of their goddess that they've seen, and so one thing that they don't do is question her. Like I said, the mental gymnastics are pretty amazing on this. What do you guys think? Do you think it weakens her, or does it just give her more strength in this, in this realm of her devotion to Elune. I just wanted to like share my thoughts on that really quick. I mean, whatever you guys feel like chiming in, go ahead. One of our, I don't know if he's here. I think it was Jalzan, one of our viewers. He sent me a tweet about QA, about quality assurance. Let me just try to. I'm gonna goof up here. Sorry. But I want to just pull up this tweet, which says right here, QA are developers. Games aren't made without them. The idea that QA are dime a dozen or replaceable is one of the most inaccurate, inane, and boomery takes one could have about making games. And I respond, this dude asked me, "Oh, what's your take on it? What do you think?" And my response to it was, all three statements are true. That QA, I believe they are developers. They're different kinds. Producers, project managers. It's not just the idea people or the narrative designers, the story writers, the artists, and blah, 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 blah. It's part of the process. Games aren't made without them. Absolutely true. They have them. The idea that QA are a dime a dozen or replaceable, unfortunately, that is also true. They are a dime a dozen. They are replaceable, and it's because the way I see it, it's because both people outside of the industry, like the general public who like to like blame QA and blah blah blah, as well as too many people who are inside the industry believe that to be true. They believe that QA is just like, whatever, not a big deal. Let's just, let's replace them. Let's let entire swaths of them go at a time. We only need these people as seasonal workers. They don't need a lot of training and blah, 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 blah. I've learned from my experience that when you do hold on to some of these people for a while and let them foster their own like sort of career from it, one, they can branch out and do other things too. They can get into other production areas. They can get into game design, being a producer or a test analyst. Get more into gray box and white box sort of testing. But after being like a full-time, once I was hired on as a full-time person, like you can tell like the difference in skill between someone who is hired in full-time versus someone who's just seasonal. Because I would catch myself, okay, cool, here's another round of testers that are coming in. It sucks because before I would go on, I forgot how long they would last. I would go on like 6-month contracts, and then I would hope that I would get renewed. And sometimes I would. Actually, every time I would, but because of labor laws and stuff, you were forced to be let go for, I think, 2 or 3 months at a time, 2 or 3 month blocks. So you were forced to go on break. You pretty much have no choice to go on unemployment. And you would hope that after like a month or so, that the company or the studio would be like, okay, cool, we're getting QA back in. Let's bring these people back in. I was fortunate because, so at the where I worked, it was Sony. I was doing Sony QA. It was different because I was doing what was called compliance testing, which meant it's not the same as first party testing where, like, let's say at Blizzard, you're working on a game, you're doing QA, blah, 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 blah. But then once the game is out, then you don't need to do as much QA. You don't need to do the same level as QA. So a lot of those people may end up being let go. I'm just using Blizzard as an example. I don't know exactly how they operate. But over at Sony, we're getting all the games, all of them come out every last one will come through our doors. And so there's always like this constant demand. There's always that sort of churn. And so there's never really like that much downtime. If anything, there's like normal time and then there's crazy time, which is around the holidays when a lot of games will typically come out. And then we'll be put on like a whole bunch of projects at once. But I do strongly believe that QA is just totally looked down upon. They're taken advantage of. I truly believe that too many people inside the industry, as well as the general public, they look at QA as just players. They're just paid. They're just players who get a paycheck. And all they do is try out the game and look for holes in the wall and stuff like that. That's not even a thing anymore. That's hardly that much of a thing, because these days there's automation testing where engineers and programmers they'll make bots, and the bots by the thousands will scour the land and look for some of these things and try some of these things out and run sims and so on and so forth. QA is a lot more nuanced. That's where you see like Rex Troy level stuff. It's like, what can we do to like mess things up? And then from there, it would be our job to one, identify the bug, and two, if we can kind of pop the hood and look at some of the code and some of the programming, then we can kind of get into that. Sometimes we can do that, sometimes we can't. And then from there, we tell stakeholders such as designers, engineers, producers, release managers, hey dudes, this game is gonna tank. It's not playable. Here are the problems with it. It's going to break. Here's the severity of it. We're gonna see 30% of people that are gonna run into disconnect problems and this and that. And for that reason, this game should not be released. What sucks is that in first party QA, saying that almost doesn't matter. It's so forgettable. Because the other people can just be like, oh, well, nah, it's fine. We're going to put it out. When it comes to compliance testing, and Nintendo does it, Sony does it, Xbox does it, they can say, okay, these are the problems that we're coming up with. These are the violations. Your game isn't going to come out. Your game's not going to hit street date if you don't fix these. And if you don't fix these, well, we're just going to sit on our hands and you can complain about it in the media all you want. Too bad. So sad. And so there's a difference in, there's definitely a difference in the kind of QA that happens. But in general, yeah, it sucks because these people just aren't treated very well. And it's not like they don't need to be treated like doctors either. They don't need to make like 7 figures or anything like that. They don't need to feel like the rock stars of the game development world. But I also feel like the rock stars of the game development world should not act like the rock stars of the game development. Whatever, dude. We make games, man. It's like something like that. Statements like that, they don't exactly trigger me, but they'll definitely prompt a response of some sort. But I can see what people mean. I remember reading something from all this Blizzard brouhaha that QA doesn't talk to the rest of the team, really. They send out the reports, but they're basically not allowed to actually talk to game designers, engineers, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember the reason why, but who cares? That's dumb. I agree with a certain sort of separation, or I agree to very specific extents. Like if you're working on a really small game, and you just want to slide your chair over to the other side of the room and be like, hey, I'm seeing this developer, engineer person. What do you got to say about that? But when it comes to like really, really big games that involve giant bureaucracies and stuff like that, everyone's on deadlines, everyone's trying to get stuff done, and no one has enough time to do it. So it's harder for anyone to just slide over and be like, hey, I know that you're working on this crazy stuff, but like there's this pixel thing and there's like this low priority thing. That's why you have this whole hierarchy. You have your QA, you have your testers, and then you have your leads that kind of collate all this information, and then they send out either daily or weekly reports. It's a hell of a system from the bottom up, and the hope is that it's well oiled enough, and the translation and communication all works out. It was hard for us because we needed to write bugs and reports in such a meticulous format, because we would send out our reports to Japan and to places in Europe and elsewhere where English is not the primary language, and those things would need to be translated properly enough, and we would need to describe the issues that we're finding, effectively tell them how we've reproduced these sorts of bugs, and then have it come back to us. I do miss doing QA stuff, and I did, and I'll share this. Like, I did try applying at Blizzard a number of times, never really got through with the kind of testing that they wanted. Every time I did apply, I think they were looking specifically for raid testers. They were looking for the best of the best, people who can do like mythic stuff and so on, and and I just didn't cut it. I'm not going to give too many. I don't know if I can give that many details on how the interview went, but yeah, I just didn't cut it, which is kind of a bummer. These days, though, with the experience that I'd like to think that I have, I'm more of a QA lead than a straight tester. Like Rex Troy would be like a great tester, but I would say like he would also need an effective lead to direct him and put him in the right direction. To find like certain things. Bugs that he would find are game breaking. They're kind of crazy and fun, but they're also so edge case that I know that as a lead, I would be like, it's not a huge priority. It's not a huge priority unless this bug were to go public. And so I'm sure that whenever he finds those bugs and it's reported to Blizzard, they'll be like, okay, there's that thing, there's that thing, and then they would kind of put it all together and be like, okay, now that the public is finding it, okay, now we have to fix it. It's kind of unfortunate the way that works, because you would love to think, they should just fix everything every time right away, yesterday, instead of letting things go out into the public. But unfortunately, that's the reality of it. There's only so much time, and there's never enough time, so you might as well, get whatever it is that you can done, and then ship, and then start moving on to the next thing, because fans and stakeholders, they're ravenous. They want that wheel to keep turning, no matter what. I did read that Ubisoft, that they put out their own sort of letter demanding change in their workplace, and heck yeah, dude, I'm super happy about that. One thing that this was from a Wowhead article that I read, and at the end of the Wowhead article, my real takeaway from this, I don't think I have the link available, but at the bottom of this article, and it's Wowhead's words, not from the workers at Ubisoft. Wowhead said that employees of Ubisoft and Activision are still waiting for action and are quickly running out of patience. Again, it's their words, not the workers. But it does make me wonder, like, how much patience can these workers have? Right now, we're seeing this kind of battle of attrition. Like, can the executive leadership of these studios and other studios just kind of like wait it out and just kind of keep their heads down long enough that the employees who are lodging these complaints and these demands, will they just kind of quiet down and then go back to work? Can they outlast this protest? And also, on the other side of things, can these employees, is there a final straw? Is there a, it's not happening, we're going to walk, or we're going to quit, or we're going to go on strike, or whatever? How long might it be until one side gives in to the other. Because I was talking last week about, oh, these people were let go, these people were fired or whatnot, and which is great. Please get rid of those people. And for those who have been aggressors and are still there, please get scared. Run away, little girl or boy, because equality. But can they wait it out? It's a little cynical. We've been at that point, but we're also approaching this other point where, what if not enough happens? This Ubisoft letter came, oh gosh, this is what, like at least a year or two after their own allegations came out of sexual misconduct, harassment, and that sort of thing. But it's been a while, and they've made games, and people have liked them, but this is still going on. I'm sure that there are some people out there who are like, we demand change now, and if it doesn't happen, F this company and blah, blah, blah. And rightfully so. If the state of the company is something that you're not comfortable with, and if that overcomes your enjoyment of the games that they would otherwise put out, don't force yourself to play it. That's totally okay. This is a tough situation, man. It's a really tough situation, and I want to say, oh, come on, guys, you can stick it out. You can be patient for a little bit longer, but that doesn't mean anything. I think the most important thing is to keep listening to these workers, keep listening to these developers and workers and whatnot, and keep cheering them on. Let them know that they're not alone, because they're not. I've said this so many times, we want to create from a happy place, from a good place mentally, right? And if we're not there, we got to try to do what we can to resolve that. So I want to keep cheering those folks on, right? Cool.